Hello, friends, and welcome back. It is season 3 of YMCast. It is excellent to be with you wherever you are. I hope you've had a good Christmas. I hope you've had a good New Year and are getting back into the swing of things. Obviously, it's been an interesting time. We are now back in lockdown. So, when we started YMCast 2 seasons ago, we started in lockdown, and as we start in season 3, we're back in lockdown. So it's familiar territory for all of us at this point. So with familiar territory, we start, as we always do with YMC Cast, in prayer. Lord, thank you that we are back with season 3 of these podcasts, that we are able to go out and meet with people this way, that we are able to bring people to us who we may never have seen before, that we are able to experience things that we may never have thought about, but we are able to continue to worship and praise you throughout lockdown, throughout this weird and wacky time of COVID. Amen. So I don't know if you do New Year's resolutions in your house. We never particularly did. It kind of one of those things that popped up at school and people would talk about, and about 3 weeks later when you asked about them, people would have absolutely failed for them. So we're going to start with a bit of a video talking about New Year's resolutions.
Well, that's it. Christmas is done. Said goodbye to family and all the festive fun. Eating way too much food. Please, no more snacks. It's a new year, a new me, so it's time to come back. I've made myself a promise. I'm gonna get fitter. Let's go to the gym. This year I won't be a quitter. I'm thinking a 6-month membership, 8 days a week, lifting and running to put me in peak condition. I'll eat less, skip on the chocolate, then I can save a few pennies for the wallet. I know, I'll go vegan. Maybe that resolution I'll keep, or I save my Burger King order to 1, maybe 2 days a week. I'm gonna organise myself better, get into routine, spend more time with family instead of in front of a screen. I'll spend less money, I'll save more, travel more, read more, sleep more. I'll make more promises that I can't keep more. My New Year's resolutions are great for a week, but the truth is, these are empty promises. Truth is, by February, my diet will be gone, my gym membership wasted, and I'll be back to being on a screen all day frustrated. These promises show me what I want to be, but not what I am. They show me an ideal, not a real picture. These New Year's resolutions don't help me. They're a promise I can't keep. I long for a promise that makes me feel better, not a New Year's resolution that makes me its debtor. And when I look to myself, it's not something I find, because when I look to myself, I make myself blind to the world around me that shows a promise spoken, that even inside a world that's so broken, there's a God who loves me, one who's in control. And while the failure in me scores an own goal, he's right there beside me. His rescue is promised, and he doesn't break it, because God's not dishonest. He sends his son so that I can be free. His message, hope, is not found in me but in him. He promises a future day with no pain, with no gym needed, no stressy weight gain. I don't know about you, but to me that sounds great. So why not this new year do more than just fake? Don't aim for the hopeless, endless resolution. Look to Jesus, the real promise solution.
I really love those kind of videos, and we'll be thinking a little bit later more about New Year's resolutions. This time of year obviously involves New Year's resolutions, but there's also another fairly major event that happened in the Christian calendar. Epiphany happens. Epiphany be taking place 12 days after Christmas. Normally, for me, that would mean that I was taking the Christmas tree down, otherwise Mum would have been getting very annoyed because it would clearly been up for too long. And also Epiphany being when the wise men finally came and appeared and talked to Jesus. So we've got a reflection coming us from Fiona Fidge of the Learning Network, talking all about Epiphany.
A very happy new year to you all, and a very blessed Epiphany. I sometimes think that Epiphany gets a short straw when it comes to our celebrations at this time of the year. We do Advent rather well, lots of books that you can read during the Advent season, and we have our candles and our calendars, and then we have the 12 days of Christmas. But by the time we get to Epiphany, we're somehow exhausted, or we're tied up trying to keep our New Year's resolutions, or concentrating on that new start back to work, or even back to the gym. In this reflection for Epiphany, I want to readdress that and to offer a variety of ways in which you can re-engage with the story and enter into the joy, mystery and wonder of this amazing story of the Magi from the East, who, guided by a bright star, bring their gifts of gold, frankincense and myrrh to Jesus. So let's begin by reminding ourselves of the story. A reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Christ was to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler, who will be the shepherd of my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He said to them, "Go to Bethlehem," and said, "Go and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star that they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, of frankincense, and of myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. So friends, we're going to look at a couple of ways in which we can engage with the gospel story. So you may want to read the story again. It's in the Gospel of Matthew. And in the light of the narrative that we have heard and that you have just reread, and in your own experience, you may want to reflect on these questions. Who am I called to be? How do I discern my call? What gifts do I bring? How do I enable others to offer what they bring? And how do I help others to hear their call? Spend some time just reflecting on those questions. You may want to journal some answers, to pray around them, to walk with them if that's a helpful way of you reflecting on how these words and how this narrative is speaking to you today. And secondly, I've asked my colleague Clive from Take Time if he will offer a Take Time meditation. These meditations are an invitation to imagine ourselves into the gospel story. This imaginative contemplation of the Gospels is part of the Ignatian tradition, and here Clive offers an opportunity to pray and to imagine yourself into this story. So let's listen to Clive and to the Take Time meditation.
Welcome to Take Time, your opportunity to pause in the busyness of life, to quieten your mind and allow your spirit some sanctuary. Don't worry if your mind wanders. Usually it wanders to places that bring insight or healing. If it wanders somewhere unhelpful, gently bring it back. Now close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and picture yourself with Jesus in the dead of night, sitting around a fire in the camp of some important travellers from the East. These travellers, known as Magi, have retired to their tents, but their servants, taking you as fellow travellers, have invited you to join them around the fire. One of them is explaining, "Our expedition began about 3 months ago. It was shortly after our masters saw a star in the east, which indicated that a child had been born who would be king of the Jews. A few nights ago we arrived in Jerusalem, assuming that the child was born there. The masters told King Herod that they'd come to worship this new king of the Jews, but he knew nothing about it. The religious leaders were summoned, and they explained that according to the scriptures, Bethlehem is prophesied to be the Messiah's birthplace. Then Herod instructed our masters, 'Go to Bethlehem and find the child, then report back to me, so that I too may worship him.' Last night the star appeared again, and the masters were overjoyed. It led us here to Bethlehem, and to the house where the child and his parents are staying. After seeing the child, the Magi told us they just knew in their hearts that he is the one born to be King of the Jews. They even knelt down and worshipped him, before presenting him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Tomorrow we go back and tell Herod." Suddenly one of the Magi emerges from his tent looking very agitated, and the servant who's been speaking runs towards him asking, "Is everything all right, master?" Their master says, "I've been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod. Tell the others that first thing in the morning we head straight for home." The servants rush off to make new arrangements for the morning, and you are left alone by the fire with Jesus. As you stare together into the flames, he invites you to share with him whatever is on your mind, whatever is in your heart. Just take this opportunity now. And now listen as Jesus responds to what you have shared with him. Just be open to his response, whether it be in actions, or as a feeling, or an image, or in words. Hear him speak your name, and wait for his response. hold on to anything that Jesus has shared with you, and gently and slowly bring yourself back to this time and this place.
So these are some other ways in which we might celebrate Epiphany. I wonder if you have chalked the entrance to your home. This tradition has become more popular in the last few years, and the formula for the ritual is simple. You take the year, which is 2021, and you take the initials of the Magi, Caspar, Melchior, and Balthasar, and you write it like this: 20 plus C plus M plus B plus 21. The letters here also abbreviate the Latin phrase Christus mansionem benedicat. May Christ bless this house. The plus sign, of course, represents the cross, and the 20 at the beginning and the 21 at the end mark the year. And together this is an invitation for Christ to bless the house of the people who live in this dwelling throughout the entire year. But you may also wish to write these initials and these dates onto your avatar for your social media. It's a great tool for evangelism, as everybody, all your friends will of course ask and say to you, what does that mean? So you have an opportunity to tell them. Perhaps the most obvious way of engaging with the Epiphany story is to think about how we might pray with the stars, pray with the universe. Perhaps you live in an area of light pollution where you can't see the sky at night very clearly. I used to live on the North Yorkshire moors just outside Whitby, and it was glorious to just spend some time in the evenings at night time just gazing up into the sky. I sometimes think that we spend so much time looking down that we've actually forgotten to look up. Perhaps you were like me, brought up on the sky at night with Patrick Moore, or you might be somebody that has got a little bit more interested in the universe with Brian Cox and the stargazing programs. These are all just fabulous examples of how we are becoming more aware of our place in the universe. I've got here a wee container of sand, and I'm going to try and get 1 grain of this sand on the end of my finger. It's quite hard, and maybe you might like to try this with some sand or some sugar or glitter or anything that you've got at home. And then imagine that this grain of sand is our sun, the star that we see most days. Our solar system with its major planets and their moons are clustered around it. Now, we see this as the brightest star in our galaxy, yet in comparison with others, it's quite small. On a good dark night, we might see 2,000 to 3,000 stars. But we now know that actually just in the Milky Way galaxy alone, there are between 200 and 400 billion stars. We would need a large dumper truck to contain them all. We used to think that our own galaxy was all that there is, until astronomers and physicists found new ways of looking further and deeper. We now know that there are billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars. So imagine a railway truck full of sand, perhaps the kind of truck used to transport coal. And imagine one of those passing you every second, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it would take 3 years of passing trucks to represent all the stars in the known universe. So the invitation for praying with the stars and with the universe is to go outside, and it's great to be able to do this at the winter time in the UK. Go outside and spend some time looking up at the night sky. Some time in just wonder and amazement for all that is. You might want to download some of the stargazing apps that you can use. the night sky or stargazing, any of those ones, and just take in a little bit more of the vastness and wonder of the universe. And to thank God for all that we are continuing to discover. Maybe you might want to spend some time in just amazement and wonder for all that is. The gift of the created earth and your life on this planet, orbiting our sun, represented here by just one tiny grain of sand.
Thank you very much, Fidge, for that reflection. I thought that was really interesting. I really hope that has helped you with your thinking about Epiphany this year. So we're coming to the end of this episode of YMCast. So we're going to finish as we started and think a little bit about New Year's resolutions. So I hope you enjoy the following video. I hope you've enjoyed this week's YMCast. As usual, please get in contact with me using the hashtag YMCcast or by emailing me at michaelymcworker@gmail.com. It's always great to be with you, and I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you have a good week. Cheerio.
A new year is here, so we make new promises, new habits, goals, chances, new focuses. Out with the old and ridden of addictions, because maybe then there'll be more benedictions. But wait, they too, and you know what I'm gonna say. I've only just started and already I'm astray, seeking the things I promised to put away. But hey, at least I've had a good detox day. Until next year, we'll start again, striving to check our resolutions 10 out of 10. I don't know, but to me there's something missing, because resolution means resolved. It is finished, it is done, and I heard that's what happened when God sent his one and only Son. It was the final blessing. The great I Am made his New Year's resolution to rid the world of sin and give us absolution. From Old Testament to New Covenant, unlike you and me, he passed day 1, day 2, day 3, his resurrection grants us eternal life, free from death and worldly strife. See, his resolution was made for you and me. So I make my resolution to bow to his holy decree. It is finished.